Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your main man, CL Anthony, and my little homie, Bryce Ward. What's up?
Not much, man. How you doing today?
Life is good. Life is good. Some papers were almost delivered yesterday, but I wasn't home, if you know what I mean. But life is good. All right, Bryce. We got some shit to get into. So the Denver Nuggets did what they were supposed to do and protected home court in game one. They got off to a pretty strong lead, but the Lakers stormed back actually and made it a game. Are you impressed by the Lakers keeping it close in the end, despite Jokic having a monster game?
Not really, because at this point, there's only these four elite teams left. I'm not expecting too much just laying down. You can get out to a big lead and go down double digits, even by 20 points. But with the way people can score in this league and make threes the way they do now, not really. These elite teams shouldn't be laying down in any one of these games. They're all too important. So even if you get down double digits, I like to see these teams fighting back. And honestly, it's what's expected of them. This isn't a first round team or whatever, or first round series. These are the top four teams right now. So no, we shouldn't see, at least we shouldn't see any giving up yet. In my opinion, that's that would be more disappointing and surprising to see LeBron and the Lakers lay down and not fight to come back. That would be more surprising to me. So no, it wasn't surprising. But it also wasn't surprising that Denver took game one. So
well, yeah, and let me read just some of the box score real quick. I'm going to start with Jokic. 34 points, 14 assists, 21 rebounds is absolutely ridiculous.
Monster.
My boy, Michael Porter Jr., I got to smile. 15 points, 10 rebounds. Good game for him. Aaron Gordon, 12 points, 3 rebounds. I give him a little love. 3 assists. I give him just a little bit of love.
I think Aaron Gordon line.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 21 points. Let's see, which is good for him. 9 for 17 to hit 3 threes. So Denver got an overall team effort. Now, on the Lakers side, still impressive, Rui Hachimura, formerly of the Washington Wizards, 17 points. That's good for him. D'Lo had a quiet game. LeBron James, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. So LeBron almost had a triple-double.
What did D'Lo have?
D'Lo ended up with, 8 points and 3 assists.
Okay.
So the great white hope, Austin Reeves, dropped 23 points and 8 assists. Good game for him.
He's playing for them contracts.
He is. I can't wait till next year, though. And then AD had a monster game, which almost eclipsed Jokic's game with 40 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. So AD actually went off in the second half of that game. So kudos, like you said, kudos to the Lakers because it was only a 6-point game at the end of the day. But at the beginning of that game, especially before I crashed for the night, Denver was looking hella strong and was up big. I don't believe we had you on here for a conference finals prediction, so I'm going to ask you Denver and the Lakers. Who you got?
Lakers.
Okay, I have the Lakers as well. Heat over Boston. I'm sorry, Heat over Boston. Heat versus Boston.
I was like, I think you made the decision for me. Boston.
So he has a Lakers-Boston finals. I have a Lakers-Heat bubble rematch. All right.
I will say, though, those are just like kind of my gut reactions. I will not be surprised at all if Denver wins a championship this year or if Miami wins a championship this year.
There you go.
I think I'd be a little more surprised if Miami does it because they're a little more beat up for sure. But none of the 4 teams this year would surprise me at all. Like they deserve to be here. So
I'm gonna say this, and just from a numbers standpoint, first round, game one gets Milwaukee. Miami went in there and beat Milwaukee and in game one. Didn't have home court, of course. Game one, round two against the Knicks, Miami again did not have home court. Won game one. Miami has not lost a home game in this playoffs run. The games they've lost, they've only lost game twos. They've won game one, they lost game twos, I think another game, but they haven't lost in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
If Miami goes in there tonight, if they go into Boston tonight and steal game one, I think tonight's going to be a close game. And I know Tatum's been playing great. That's cute and all. But he hasn't had a strong – he's played great the last game and one quarter. He hasn't had a strong playoff run. The Celtics haven't seemed as
well. The closeout game, 51.
One game and one quarter is what he's played, right? Played great. The Celtics haven't had a consistent dominant presence in the playoffs. Yeah, they've won games, but let's be real. Philly choked that away. As we know, Doc Rivers got fired for it. The Celtics really haven't impressed me in this playoff run, and I don't believe they are as tough as they were last season, mentally tough. And I think Miami is going to come in there with a swagger and an attitude and punch them in the mouth. So we'll see what happens. But if Miami takes game one again, Miami's going to win the series.
Real quick, the question I wanted to ask you. Taking in Doc Rivers' entire coaching career, do you agree that he chokes in high pressure playoff moments?
No, and here's why: because he's not out there making shots. He's not out there shooting as bad as James Harden shot. He's not out there in a game 7, and you were just named the MVP, dropping 15 points in an elimination game that Joel Embiid did. So, no. They made Doc the scapegoat, and now they're gonna have to pay him, because he had 2 more years left on his contract. So, Mike D'Antoni's name is still floating around in an attempt to keep James Harden from leaving. So I believe that's what this was about. This wasn't about Joel Embiid because him and Doc had a great relationship. I believe this was about James Harden, and like I said, D'Antoni's name is floating around. And as it was the first time. It's been floating around before, but now it's really going to be floating around.
You think that'll be enough to keep him there?
Keep James Harden there? Yes. Will it be enough to propel Philly to a championship? Absolutely not. So, yeah, I have my issues with D'Antoni, so I'm not going to get into that.
I'm aware.
Not going to get into that unless they sign him.
Do you think Monty would be a better – yeah, sorry.
Well, he was an assistant coach there for years. For the way that team is made up, and even the way Milwaukee is made up with the team structure, Monty would be good for both of those teams, actually. I would lean a little bit towards Philly with him because you have a little more firepower in Philly than you do in Milwaukee. If he can just get James Harden to fucking focus. Harden can opt in. He can opt in or he can opt out. So that's up to him. So if he opts in, then you got to get him to focus. If you opt out, I actually think you go into rebuild mode because Philly's getting a little old. So you're going to rebuild mode. All right. We saw the Lakers crush the championship dreams of the Golden State Warriors. Steve Kerr yesterday did his exit interview and dropped a couple of good quotes. There are some quotes right after the game that I was like, that I really didn't agree with, where himself, Steve Kerr, and Draymond Green said that, they knew this wasn't a championship team. I kind of disagreed with that only because this was the same team that we saw won the championship a year ago, right? Like they didn't bring any new pieces in there. So I'm like, what do you mean you're not a championship team? I didn't get that. But Steve Kerr did mention a lack of trust. And I'm going to read this. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to read it. So, anytime some trust is lost, then it makes the process much more difficult. And there was some trust lost. This is what Steve Kerr said. That's as blunt as I can be. We have to get back to what has made us really successful. which is a really trusty environment and a group that relies on one another to make each other better. He also went on to say, he was speaking about the Draymond Jordan pool punch. There was no hiding from it. The incident with Draymond and Jordan at the beginning of the year played a role in that. He's speaking of the lack of trust. Mm-hmm. It's hard for that not to impact a team. So we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the season when this happened. And now it's come up again. My question to you is, do you think it played the biggest role in the lack of trust that Steve Kerr is talking about, or just the Warriors just wasn't good enough?
It could be a number of things going on there. It could be a lack of trust and team chemistry. It could be, those guys, the big three there, just, maybe finally running their path with that team setup. Mm-hmm. We've talked about Draymond moving on. Maybe Draymond's not able to do the things he used to do as effectively. But I think it's more of the other things all combined, as well as Poole really disappearing. Mm-hmm. And because the future was supposed to be bright with him specifically. And the main problem looked to be him in terms of not showing up the way the other guys did. Now, the altercation between him and Draymond is tough because usually you side with the youth in that situation. Like when there seems to be that kind of talent on the line, last year people were raving over Poole.
Yeah, so rightfully so.
Yeah, and we talk about the Heat. We talk about the Heat a lot off air because they're your team. But I've learned a lot listening to you talk about them. And for as good as the Heat are, they usually only have like maybe 4 years with some of these teams that they build. And Golden State has been able to hold on to their core and most of their championship teams longer than most, I'd say.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if it's one of those things where it's just such a big combination of different things that you just need some kind of shakeup to just shake the rust off. And that may be Draymond moving on. Could be Draymond and Clay. It could be Poole and Draymond moving on. I'm not sure, but for them to just come out and say, like, we weren't the same team we were last year when pretty much on paper you are the same team. It seems odd. Yes. Yeah. So I think they're just at a like a crossroads basically, and they're having to decide what they really have to move on from because I don't think they want to go through another season like this one with the same people. I don't think that happens. So the comments are a little weird, but I think they're in an odd situation for them compared to where they're used to being, especially after last season. So they got to figure some things out. There's a little more uncertainty there than they're used to having, I think. So we'll see what they do, but I definitely see them moving some pieces and trying to change some things up.
Yeah, to put a cap on that, Draymond actually has a player option as well. So he can either opt in or opt out and become an unrestricted free agent. I think if he's worried about him not getting paid by the Warriors, he will opt in. And this is why I say that. Because he can definitely opt out, but then the Warriors aren't obligated to bring him back. They're like, well, we don't even have to negotiate with you at that point. So I don't think he's going to take that risk. They can still move him if he opts in. Right. They can move him after December. So I think knowing that, because at first I thought he was just a free agent, but knowing that he has a player option, I actually think he's gonna opt in. I don't think he's gonna take the chance of opting out, and then the Warriors are like, "Oh, thank you, bye bye, you made it easy for us."
Nobody else paying him.
Exactly. So I do believe he's gonna opt in. Talked a little bit about this offline. Got some shit to get into. Of course, Commissioner Silver spoke about it yesterday, which I was shocked because I didn't know they were gonna ask him about it point blank. Your boy Ja, second time in 2 months, called on the video. Me, Mike, and Joshua did a short video about it the other day. What were your initial thoughts when the video resurfaced Saturday night?
Him and his circle of friends are just dumb. For whatever reason he wanted to do this or be a part of it, and I know his buddy is the one that threw on the IG live. But with that being said, I mean, if you're part of that inner circle, you should know better, or Ja has let it be known that like he just doesn't. I don't think Ja cares. I don't think Ja cares about the suspensions. I don't think Ja cares about the money. I think Ja cares about right now being like 23, what his friends and what the community and what other rappers or whoever he's trying to impress. I think he cares more about the clout and what he looks like more so than on the basketball court right now. I think he knows what he is on the basketball court. I think he knows he's got the money already, at least a certain amount of it, right? I think he knows he's good as long as he doesn't do something crazy, right? So I don't really think that he cares. And he needs to stop with these little I know it's what the team and everybody in probably in his management circle wants him to say, but after the way he responded after the first incident that came public, because let's be real, if these are public, the team probably knows about 20 more times this has happened because the teams, they have handlers, especially for their stars, going around making sure no one does anything too crazy.
Right, right.
So you can't tell me they don't know more than what we know about these situations, but I mean, for his buddy to do it, that just goes to show me that I don't think Ja cares at all, and so he needs to stop with these little apologies because from what we saw, it just happened a few months ago, and you're right back at it, and you're saying the same dumb shit you said last time that the media wants to hear. I don't care. I don't need it. Tell us what you're really doing. Take your big punishment this time because you pissed Silver off. I think he really feels like he was just bold-faced lied to.
Yes.
Like he gave Ja the benefit of the doubt, and Ja spit in his face with that.
Yes.
So you have your opinion on Ja, have your opinion on the situation, whatever. But the facts are, the president is not happy. He is not happy, and from an outsider looking in, it just looks like a big fuck up. It looks like you're being dumb. I'm sure you have your reasoning. I can't understand your reasoning because it all just seems really negative to me. So, yeah, man, just dumb. So dumb. I mean, giving you all the opportunities in the world. You're getting the keys to the league in a few years, probably. Let's be real. You're one of the most. You're probably the most exciting player to actually watch play. You could make that argument. And I mean, you're just, flushing it down the drain, in my opinion. But I'm not him. I'm not a 23-year-old NBA star in his community. So, but I just know there's been people swallowed up by these communities sometimes, and they come out with nothing. And then their group of friends, they come out with nothing.
Yeah,
so
right.
let's just see where his career ends up. But right now, to me, it's just looking like some really, really dumb decision making.
Yeah, this is the sixth documented incident associated with Ja Morant and a gun
About that life.
in the last 8 months. This is the sixth time now Ja's been associated with a gun. Twice, of course, has been on camera. Now, Commissioner Silver, who many love, and I always warn people, no, he doesn't work for us, he works for them. Why?
Mm-hmm.
But generally a lovable guy, generally an easygoing guy. Last night, what I saw in him was David Stern. The poise that he had, his voice, like you said, he was highly upset and he was highly serious. And I think Ja's going to miss half the season. I don't think he's going to suspend him for the whole season. if he suspends him for the whole season, it's going to be for the multitude of incidents, not just this incident, not just the one, but for the other 5. If he does it for the whole season, I think Ja's going to miss half the season. This is what upsets me. After the first gun incident, me, you, Michael, and I believe Joshua sat up here, and we all said that Ja probably needed to be suspended for the remainder of the season. The national writers, the national commentators were okay with his 8-game suspension. They were okay with it. No one said, oh, he should be suspended for the duration of the season, which would have been 2 months, right? But now, these assholes are on TV. Oh, the first suspension was weak. Oh, it should have been longer. Why the fuck wasn't y'all saying that then? Don't come back with this hindsight is 2020 bullshit because none of you fuckers was saying this shit 2 months ago. None of them was. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, everyone came together to protect this young man. And again, this young man has shitted in everyone's face, which is why Commissioner Silver was as strong as he was yesterday when he said, I fear for the worst. You don't want any leader in any organization that has to do with you to say, I fear for the worst. Ja's about to get fucked. And he did it to himself. Let me just say that. He's about to get fucked.
And a lot of the problem is, to be honest, for me, it's not that he has done some of these things or had the gun with him, whether it's his gun, someone else's gun. We've heard about things at his house, right? At his house that we know it's his gun that he went and got in other situations, right? But you're making it so public. Mm-hmm. You don't work for yourself. You work for the NBA, you work for the Memphis, I'm sorry. But you're not just representing yourself, and that's the difference here. You're making it social, and you're hurting the image of a company. Mm-hmm. That's the issue that you have signed a contract with. It's not like you're out here, oh, this is what I'm doing on my summer vacation, hunting with the family, and you have your rifle there, and you posted a picture on Instagram or something. No, it's a little different than that. So I just, I mean, a lot of people are really baffled. I get it. It's confusing when you're seemingly given the keys to the kingdom. But let's be real. It's not just having the gun. That's not the issue. It's how you're brandishing it and how you're propping up this image that's bothering your employers and the image that you're creating for them. That's the problem.
And no one else is willing to say that. So thank you for saying that, because the optics of it is really bad. This is really bad. People are talking about legalities and all this shit. Yeah, it's legal for him to have the gun, and we know that. But the optics of a young black man brandishing a weapon, like you said, it's a little different than someone brandishing a weapon in a hunting picture or something like that. The optics are just so fucking bad. If you were to ask me, I would just guess and say 80% of players in the NBA has a fucking gun. I don't care if they have a fucking gun. It's legal for them to have a fucking gun. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. That's the way I was raised. But at the same time, you don't see 80% of NBA players brandishing guns on Instagram Live twice in a 2-month span. You don't see that, right?
No.
That's what I'm saying. It's so baffling. So I am going to put up this bullshit ass quote, because we keep it raw here. We keep it raw. So I'm going to put up this bullshit ass quote. All right, here we go. Let me read this bullshit.
Taking a quote from your buddy Keenan's video. We keep it raw. We keep it real.
I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it in my bullshit voice, because this is absolute and utter bullshit. I know I've disappointed a lot of people who have supported me, Morant said in a statement.
Stop talking about that. Stop talking about that.
May I add, 4 days later, right? 4 days later, after he sees how pissed off Silver is, then this shit comes out, okay? This is a journey, and I recognize there is more work to do. Sounds familiar when you spent 2 days in a fucking Florida rehab clinic doing nothing. This is the funniest line, though. My words may not mean much right now, but I take full accountability for my actions. The fuck? What the fuck is this? I'm committed to continuing to work on myself. This is the same shit we heard 2 months ago.
Copy and paste.
This is the same shit we heard when he was sitting there with that bullshit interview with Jalen Rose, which everyone knew was bullshit. Like the whole thing.
I bet AI wrote this. I bet he got on there and he was like, AI, write me an apology.
The entire thing was orchestrated to protect Ja, and I get it. And then, like I said, he shitted on everyone's face. The last thing I'm going to say about this is, it's funny how quiet the Players Association is on this. Because they have no legs to walk on.
You can't defend it. You can't defend it.
Yeah. 4 days later, we still haven't heard from the Players Association. We're going to wrap this up soon, but I just want to talk about one more thing. So, people who know that when the draft lottery was instituted in 1985, that it was bullshit. It's been bullshit. It's going to always be bullshit, okay? We have known for years, at least 2 years, that Victor was going to be the first pick, pretty much, right? So the question was, who was going to tank to get Victor? All right. I got a text message from Mike yesterday because I was on the road coming home, and Mike texted me. He was like, Detroit better get the first pick. Like, Detroit just better get the first pick. And I'm like, that ain't going to happen. And he said, Charlotte? No, it's not going to happen. I said San Antonio. I just knew it was going to be San Antonio. And Lord of the Whole, it is San Antonio. Here's my reasoning for doing this. Like I texted you last night. The same teams in the NBA win every year. The only team that's different this year is actually Denver. Miami's won multiple championships. Boston's won multiple championships. The Lakers have won multiple championships. Denver has never been to the finals, so they're the only one that's different this year. The last new team to win a championship wasn't even Milwaukee, because Milwaukee won one back in the 70s. It was actually Dallas when Dallas broke through and won theirs.
What about Toronto?
Toronto too, right. So Dallas and Toronto were the last two to win the championship. In the last 40 years, out of 30 teams, you've only had 10 teams win the championship, with Toronto and Dallas being the last two new teams. So of all the teams that's been great for the last 20 years, the Spurs are the only ones that haven't really made a splash in the playoffs in the last 5 years. It's been San Antonio. That was my reasoning. Okay, what can the league do to get San Antonio going again? Well, David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and now Victor. And I can't say his last name yet, but Victor. So it just made sense for San Antonio to get that first pick. I know we're calling him the next great thing. I have to see it first. I saw the kid when he was 14. I was like, holy shit, he's going to go to the NBA. Great. So he's going to the NBA. I'm not going to put the next great generational player on him yet. I have to see it. What is the ceiling for him? Do you think he's going to be like Giannis, or do you think he's going to be like Anthony Davis? Neither choice is bad. One choice is a little more consistent than the other. So where do you think he falls in that spectrum?
He could be as high up as a combo between AD and Durant, but it depends his health.
Got it.
I mean, if he takes a hit from LeBron, he could be out. So, but yeah, I hope the best for him.
Hopefully, he has good feet and good legs too. And I'm talking about stability wise to help him through the rigors of the NBA season. And San Antonio did need a shot in the arm. So, and Pop's not going to be there forever. This might keep Pop there another 2 years. Pop's in his 70s, bro. Pop's tired of this shit, right? But I think Pop can get them going and move them into the next phase of whatever the Spurs are going to be. So this is a good start. Again, the draft lottery is rigged. Kudos to the NBA for doing this. So we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank you guys for liking, subscribing, and sharing our content. We appreciate all you guys, and we are out.
See you.